So, man, let's talk about Alexis Mac Allister. Big up to everybody. If you've watched my previous videos, you would have seen I've spoken about Alexis Mac Allister. I did a whole video on just him alone. Is he world class? Now, let me know, of course, in the comment section whether you believe that he is a world class player. Um, I've had my thoughts on it already. You already know if you watch my channel. If you've watched me on any other stream, you know I don't think he is a world class player, and there's many reasons for that. But I think for me, the main one is just more about the consistency. I don't think he's consistently performed at a top level in order for him to be classed, that world class player. Now, of course, he's done things. He's won a World Cup. He was really good at Brighton. But I think that's just been about it, to be honest with you. Even really since joining Liverpool, I don't think I've really seen many, if any, world class games. To be honest with you, you might be able to pinpoint maybe one. I mean, I could probably count on one hand. If there's five, then I just don't remember them. They probably weren't really that kind of memorable. And again, I think I've spoken about this before. You don't need to be world class. You don't need to have 11 world class players. I don't know any team that does have 11 world class players. But of course, just like any other fan base, we do like to go over the top when it does come to our players, especially players like an Alexis, Mac Allister. Why people want to throw him into that kind of bracket, I don't know. Is it, just because people speak about other players, I don't know. I really don't know. And I think when it does come to someone like Alexis Mac Allister, there's a lot of things he does. There's a lot of things he doesn't do. Again, it will also come down to, really just if that's your type of player, kind of thing in terms of the way that he plays and the things that he does do and the things that he does, kind of offer for Liverpool. He's a good central midfielder. I think, in a team like Liverpool, in terms of the way that Liverpool play, he's played under both Jurgen Klopp and Arne Slot now. And I think, yeah, I think good central midfield player, not really a quality player in any area, to be honest with you, but he's a jack of all trades. And I think that's where, for me, where I'm kind of like, you know what, to me, that's probably why he will never be in that. Well, right now, anyway, we don't know what's going to happen in the future, but why I just don't have him in that kind of world class, bracket. I think when he was at Brighton, he was on the way there. And I think being at Liverpool so far, it's kind of stalled, if I'm being honest with you. I felt that, at Brighton, maybe it was just the manager, obviously playing under De Zerbi, who I think is an excellent manager. The style of football maybe suited him a lot more, playing obviously course with Argentina. You're playing alongside players like Messi, Lautaro Martinez, and etc. etc. I mean, it's just one of those kind of things. And I just think that at Liverpool, the job that he's being asked to kind of do, or had been asked to kind of do, that's what's working against him. Again, this is if we're trying to put him in the world class kind of bracket, because I almost feel that we're asking him to do a job that he can do, but that's it. He does a job. And that's probably about as far as I can go. Whereas at Brighton, there seemed a bit more potential there. I'll be honest with you. The way that, and again, it could just be because of the style of football, which I loved, at Brighton. It was one of the best styles of football in the Premier League at that time, under Roberto De Zerbi, and playing alongside players like, Moises Caicedo. I think that really helped him, having that kind of player next to him. I could see, okay, and listen, whether whether he plays for my club or not, I think the best option for him would have probably been to go to Manchester City, in terms of the style of play being very similar to what he had already come from, and I think that would have helped him in order to become a better player. At the moment, I don't think he's gotten better. Maybe at certain things, of course, just naturally, being at a better club, better team, all of these kind of things. But in a general sense, I mean, I think the player that was at Brighton was a player that I really thought was really going to kick on, and I thought he would do that at Liverpool, but it just really hasn't really kind of happened, man. Last season, was he played almost 50 games last season, got himself 7 goals, 6 assists, playing in that midfield under Arne Slot, for the first time, almost, in that kind of double pivot kind of role. And I think with the way that the team kind of played in that midfield, and the role that he was given, obviously we had Szoboszlai, who was more of the number 10 in the team, Ryan Gravenberch obviously alongside him. Again, this is where I looked at him and I thought, yeah, it's just not working for you. I'll be honest, well, especially at this current moment in time, but just in general, I didn't look at him last season at all and thought, yeah, Obviously, you need him because that's what we've got. But I'll be honest, I think you could go out there and probably find a lot of players who could probably do the Elliot Anderson. I think does the same thing that Mac Allister does. I don't think anybody's calling him world class, and that's where I'm kind of at with someone like him. In that first season, obviously under Jurgen Klopp again. It's been difficult. I will give him that. Well, I say difficult. He's a professional football player. It's not that deep. But first season, obviously playing under Jurgen Klopp, he was more playing as that kind of DM. That was horrible. It was really, really bad to watch. And I did start to feel, after a while, I started to feel a little bit sorry for him. But of course, this was also one of the reasons why, I would always get onto Jurgen Klopp, because I said, you're playing him in a position that he has never played as a lone six for any team. From what I've seen anyway, I've not seen him ever play in those kind of areas. He's played in six, but always with a partner, always alongside someone in midfield, again with a partner. Even for Brighton, played further forward. He's played in central midfield. He's played in defensive midfield. But again, it's usually, unless it's in the attacking areas, he's always got someone around him, someone who was always next to him, like a Alexis Caicedo, who defensively excellent and on the ball pretty decent. Pretty decent, which was enough, because you had Mac Allister, who is, regardless of what I think of him, he is good on the ball. I've seen him. Do you know what I mean? I can't even sit here and lie and say I've seen Alexis Mac Allister be good on the ball. I've seen Alexis Mac Allister, put under pressure. I've seen him, in those kind of moments, get himself out of tight situations, the way he can open up his body, find that pass, open up his body, dribble forward. He can get away from players. I saw a lot of that. Unfortunately, Liverpool, I'm not really seeing that. What I'm seeing again, and like I said, if it fits the team, then it's for the team, right? It's to help the team do what it needs to do. But if we're just talking in a general sense and we're just looking at him in isolation, yeah, it just really hasn't done anything for him. I'll be honest with you. He's a guy who runs around, gets tired after God knows how many minutes, and then that's really about it, to be honest with you. Puts a lot of tackles in, gets himself on the end of challenges. He's always getting himself in these kind of tussles, and he's just turned into a central midfielder. Like I said, Elliot Anderson. I don't see that much difference between the kind of two players there, and you can see here in terms of the amount of positions, obviously, and the amount of times he's played in these kind of positions. Defensive midfield, obviously. He's played there the majority of time, but central midfield as well, and then of course in attacking midfield. But yeah, I just think that, I don't know, man. Like with someone like Alexis Mac Allister, I always look at him and I just think to myself, I need someone to explain to me why you would consider him to be world class. Let's take a look at him. Obviously, this season being the most current season, he's played 4 games so far for Liverpool. I'll be honest, I think most of them I've even forgotten that he was even on the pitch. I'll be honest with you. Like I even had to look. I was like, oh yeah, he did play. I offered nothing. Going forward, the other way, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, someone might be able to show me stats. They might, and fair enough, if you can bring the stats, and then we can have that kind of conversation. But yeah, I just don't see it with someone like an Alexis Mac Allister. I don't know what it is that he's offering people so much so that they put him in these kind of circles. And then on top of that, if he was this world-class player, how is there talk now of him not being in the midfield? Last season, and I'm not even going to say the season before, because that was his first season with Liverpool. By the end of last season, the majority of Liverpool fans I saw online, they definitely said that Alexis Mac Allister is our best midfielder. That was the rhetoric. He's our best midfielder. He's one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. He's world class. He's this, he's that, blah, blah, blah. Not everybody might think he's world class, but a lot of people said he's our best midfielder, and Liverpool's midfield can't move forward without him, right? Now, obviously, during the summer, preseason, I think came back a little bit. I said came back late, but he wasn't 100% fit and carrying a bit of an injury, and then obviously started the season again, still kind of trying to get back from that kind of injury and stuff like that. Now people are telling me that Szoboszlai and Gravenberch should be the 2 midfield pivots. I find that astounding, because I don't know any world-class players who then get taken out for other players who are not world-class and are being told by a fan base that, yeah, he should be on the bench. I don't know any. And again, it might just be me just being, I don't know, naive potentially, or not really understanding. And again, people may be able to show me examples. Obviously, there might be examples of other world-class players sitting on the bench, but they've usually been replaced by world-class players, or I don't know. Again, love to see what people think in the comment section in regards to that. But Liverpool don't have any world-class midfielders. So it's not going to be difficult if you are world-class for you to get into the team, right? Regardless of who's in there, you should be in the team based upon the fact that people have said that he is a world-class player. I'm struggling to understand as to why people now think that it should be Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, and stuff like that. Forget everybody else in the team. Forget Wirtz, forget Salah. It doesn't matter. He should be in the team. I don't think so. And I don't really care if he is in the team or not, to be honest with you. But I'm just trying to understand where people are coming from in regards to the way that they've spoken about Alexis Mac Allister. Because right now, I mean, the performances he's put in so far, like I said, I mean, that Crystal Palace game, that was embarrassing. But just in general, I'm really not seeing anything from him this season. You know, like I said, he might still be unfit. So who knows, maybe if he can get back to full fitness, maybe we might see him a little bit better than he is currently. But he does look like a player that, yeah, he should just be a rotation player. You know what I mean? Especially in the kind of system that Arne Slot wants to kind of try now. I'm like, yeah, I don't think it should really change, you know, to be honest with you. And why should it? You know, again, I need people to let me know what it is that he brings to this team in order for him to A, start, and B, be a world-class player. Because I don't have anything. I'm really struggling. You know, like I said, when he was at Brighton, I thought excellent, excellent player. I had, you know, the highest of stocks in him. I had the highest of stocks in him. I thought, yeah, man, you know, if Liverpool can get him playing the same way, but I also knew and understood that, okay, for him, in order for him to be able to play that same way, we're going to probably need Moises Caicedo. And the thing is, that's why I thought, okay, we're going for that brighter midfield, because at the time, and even now, as we've seen, you know, Moises Caicedo, one of the best, probably the best defensive midfielder in the Premier League, in my opinion, we're seeing what that looks like now. Now, put Alexis Mac Allister, his partner in crime, next to him, it should just kind of be the same as it was before, right? But we didn't. And then we went in for other players, your Endos, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch. None of them are, in my opinion, are as good as Caicedo, and they don't do the job anyway of a Caicedo. So then you're going to try and put Alexis Mac Allister somewhere in that kind of mix. You then sign in Florian Wirtz, and then all of a sudden now, what's his kind of role? Because everyone, I feel, when you think about the players that we've even got in midfield, right? You've got a Florian, I say midfield, but attacking midfield is the same thing. But you got Florian Wirtz. He's supposed to be the guy who can unlock anything. You've got Szoboszlai. He's the guy who can bring the energy. He's got the most energy probably in the entire team. You've then got Ryan Gravenberch, who's supposed to be this kind of slick, Mr. Silky kind of guy. He can, you know, slip away, you know, from players, and he can glide past players, this kind of elegance and stuff like that. You got Curtis Jones, whether you rate him or not, but he's a player who can keep possession, keep the tempo how it needs to kind of be. Whether you like it, obviously, is a different story, but he serves a purpose in some way, shape, or form. I'm not saying that you don't need a player like, you know, heck, you've got Endo, someone who's just a destroyer for the last 10 minutes of the game. He's just there to disrupt play. I'm not saying that you don't need a profile like Alexis Mac Allister. But I would have liked the profile of the Alexis Mac Allister that you guys can see on your screen. That profile was the player that I thought he's almost like a Gundogan. The way he was playing, he was like a Gundogan kind of player. You know, he's good in deep areas. He's good further forward. Can arrive late in the box. He's got importance in terms of when he can score goals, when he can even turn up the levels in games. I'm just not seeing that from him. And I can't think of many games that I haven't. There are probably some that I'm just not thinking. But for me, I'm going to say that probably on one hand at best. And that's me being ultra kind to an Alexis Mac Allister. So again, like I said, I do need people to let me know in the comment section as to what it is that you kind of see. And I just think that his role, obviously being under Jurgen Klopp, then being under Arne Slot, now it's obviously come to this season. We've signed him for. I just think he's just not been settled here. Whereas at Brighton, he knew what it was. He knew the kind of role. De Zerbi had a clear plan for him in that team. And at the moment, I just don't think that he's got that here so far at Liverpool. Playing in defensive midfield in his first season, that was horrible. He was rubbish. Did you get what I'm saying? Last season, he was pretty okay. He was pretty okay. Like, I'm not going to say he was rubbish or anything, but he was okay. You know what I mean? Did a good job, did a calm job, not an issue in that kind of sense, in terms of, yeah, that's calm. Like, you're going to have players in the team who are just there, do your job, and then, you know, we can kind of go home. But that's really about it. At Argentina, he serves his own kind of purpose there in terms of the areas and the positions he takes up, you know, in that team. Again, I just feel like at Liverpool, there isn't really that at the moment for him. And the fact that we are talking about him potentially not even being in the starting lineup, I do feel that, you know, that not even that it rings alarm bells, because it's a long season, anything can happen, form and all these kind of things. But I mean, unless he just flips a switch and other players obviously go out of form, yeah, I just don't see it, man. Honestly, man, I've tried and I've tried. I've tried to be a bit patient. I let it, even the first season, I said, all right, cool, we'll let that one go. We'll let that one go, because obviously it's the first season, and you know, we don't necessarily, you know kind of thing. And obviously he's had to play in a position he doesn't really play. Young club, he's leaving, blah blah blah, all these kind of stuff, right? So kind of have to let that one go. Then last season, I didn't really see it again. We saw Ryan Gravenberch, who, you know, for some reason he was then outperforming, you know, and Alexis Mac Allister. And again, like I say, if he's this world-class player, you're not getting outshined really by other players who are not well, because Ryan Gravenberch ain't world-class. So yeah, how can you be? And then this guy is outperforming you for a full, give or take, of 6 months, but he was outperforming you in terms of the entirety of a season. And now we're sitting here kind of, yeah, well, he shouldn't be starting. It should be, it's supposed to like Gravenberch. Kind of, I'm like, okay, no, that's man. And listen, things can change throughout a season, and you know, it's a long season. But yeah, right now, yeah, I'm not really seeing too much going on, I'll be honest, with Alexis Mac Allister. But like I said, man, I would really love to know what you guys think, you know, in the comment section. Me personally, you already know, Liverpool need to go out there and sign another midfielder. Whether that's to replace, but I don't really care, to be honest. I just think that's what Liverpool lack in this team more than anything else, is in terms of the team personnel. Yeah, it's just a midfielder, and it's not in the Alexis Mac Allister mold. It's not, I don't want like a destroyer in my midfield. I don't think Liverpool need that. I just think you need someone who can dictate the tempo of a game, you know, with one pass, you know, kind of thing, or with one movement, with one dribble. And, you know, I'm going to do a video on that player soon, but there are players out there. There are players out there who I think can do that, and I've spoken about that at length this summer. And I think that's one thing that Liverpool, you know, kind of lacked on when it came to that. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. But like I said, man, let me know your thoughts in the comment section in regards, you know, to someone like Alexis Mac Allister. Where are we at with him? That's really what I want to know. Where are you guys at with Alexis Mac Allister, man? I'll catch you guys soon. Peace.